The five friends huddled together in the dimly lit room, their faces tense with anticipation. Jack, Sarah, Lena, John, and Tasha had been through many adventures together, but this one felt different. They had stumbled upon a mystery that was bigger than anything they had ever encountered before. It all started when Tasha received a cryptic message from an anonymous sender. The message led them to an old mansion on the outskirts of town, where they found a strange diary hidden in a dusty corner of the library. As they pored over the diary, they realized that it belonged to a woman who had lived in the mansion many years ago. The woman had written about a series of strange occurrences that had taken place in the house, including unexplained noises and sightings of a ghostly figure. Intrigued, the group decided to investigate further. They began exploring the mansion, searching for clues that might help them unravel the mystery. But the deeper they delved into the house, the more unnerving it became. Creaking floorboards, sudden gusts of wind, and strange shadows that seemed to flit across the walls, the friends felt as though they were being watched at every turn. Yet, they refused to give up. Their curiosity had been piqued, and they were determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. As they made their way down a darkened hallway, they heard a sudden sound. It was the faintest whisper of a voice, but it was enough to make their blood run cold. "Who's there?" Lena called out, her voice shaking slightly. There was no reply. The group exchanged nervous glances, then cautiously moved forward. They soon came to a door that was slightly ajar, and they could hear muffled voices coming from inside. Without hesitation, they pushed the door open and stepped into the room. It was empty, but the diary lay open on a table with a freshly written entry that sent shivers down their spines. "We know you're here. You should leave before it's too late." The friends exchanged worried glances, knowing that they were in too deep to turn back now. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, as they always had. The group gathered around the table, their eyes glued to the diary as they read the chilling words. Tasha's hands trembled as she picked up the diary, her eyes scanning the pages for any clues. "We can't leave now," Jack said, his voice firm. "We need to find out what's going on here." "But what if it's dangerous?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with fear. "We've faced danger before," Lena said, her voice calm. "We can handle whatever comes our way." John nodded in agreement, his jaw set with determination. "Let's split up and search the house. Maybe we'll find something that can help us." The friends divided into pairs and set off in different directions. Jack and Tasha headed down a winding staircase that led to the basement, while Sarah and John explored the upper floors of the mansion. As they moved through the dimly lit rooms, the friends could feel the weight of the mystery pressing down on them. Every creak of the floorboards and rustle of the curtains made them jump, their hearts racing with fear. Suddenly, Jack and Tasha heard a low growl coming from the darkness ahead. They froze, their eyes wide with terror as they tried to make out the shape of the creature in front of them. "Stay calm," Jack whispered to Tasha, reaching for the flashlight in his pocket. He shone the beam of light into the darkness, revealing a snarling dog with gleaming teeth. Tasha let out a scream, but Jack quickly calmed her down. "It's okay," he said. "He's just protecting his territory. Let's go back upstairs and regroup with the others." Meanwhile, Sarah and John had found a hidden room at the end of a long corridor. The door was locked, but John managed to pick the lock with a hairpin. They stepped inside and gasped in surprise. The room was filled with ancient artifacts and dusty books, as well as a large, ornate chest in the corner. Sarah approached the chest and opened it, revealing a collection of old letters and photographs. As she leafed through them, she suddenly froze. "John," she whispered. "Look at this." John leaned over her shoulder, his eyes widening as he read the letter in Sarah's hand. "It's a confession," he said, his voice shaking. "Someone in this house is responsible for a terrible crime." The friends regrouped in the library, their faces pale with shock. They shared what they had discovered, piecing together the clues like a puzzle. It was clear that something dark and sinister was going on in the mansion, and they were determined to get to the bottom of it. But as they made their plans, they heard a sound that made their blood run cold. It was a scream that sounded like it was coming from inside the house. The friends froze as they heard the blood-curdling scream coming from somewhere inside the old mansion. Their hearts racing, they exchanged frightened glances and then, without a word, they set off in the direction of the sound. As they hurried through the darkened hallways, their footsteps echoing eerily on the dusty floorboards, they could feel the weight of the mystery bearing down on them once again. Every shadow seemed to hide some dark secret, every corner threatened to conceal a malevolent presence. Finally, they came to a locked door at the end of a long, winding corridor. It was the only door that they hadn't yet explored, and it was the only one that was still locked. As they gathered around the door, they could hear the muffled sound of someone weeping on the other side. Lena hesitated for a moment, then raised her hand to knock. "Hello," she called out tentatively. "Is someone in there?" The weeping grew louder, and the sound of someone moving inside the room. Then, suddenly, the door flew open, and a figure stumbled out into the hallway. It was a young woman, with long, tangled hair and a face streaked with tears. She looked up at the friends with wide, terrified eyes, then fell to her knees, gasping for breath. "What's wrong?" Tasha asked, kneeling beside the woman and putting a hand on her shoulder. The woman looked up at Tasha, her eyes filled with fear. "It's him," she whispered. "He's come back. He's been watching me." The friends exchanged worried glances, then helped the woman to her feet. They led her out of the mansion and into the safety of the night air. As they sat down on the grass outside, the woman began to speak. She told them of her life in the mansion, of the strange occurrences that had been happening since she had arrived, of the feeling of being watched that had never left her. But most of all, she spoke of the man who had haunted her dreams for years. A man who had once lived in the mansion and who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. A man who she had thought was long dead, but who had suddenly reappeared in her life, haunting her every moment. The friends listened in silence, their minds racing with questions. Who was this man, and what did he want? What had happened in the mansion all those years ago? And most importantly, how could they stop him before he hurt anyone else? As they sat there, pondering the mystery that had brought them to the mansion in the first place, they knew that their adventure had only just begun. And they were ready for whatever lay ahead. The friends spent the rest of the night discussing the strange events that had occurred in the mansion, trying to piece together the clues and come up with a plan. As dawn approached, they decided to split up once again, each searching a different part of the mansion. Sarah and Lena headed back to the library, determined to find more information about the mysterious man who had reappeared in the woman's life. They pored over old letters and journals, trying to piece together a timeline of events. Meanwhile, Jack and Tasha explored the basement, where they discovered a hidden room filled with dusty old equipment. As they examined the strange devices, they noticed a small, hidden compartment in the wall. Inside the compartment, they found a small, ornate box. As Tasha opened it, she gasped in surprise. Inside was a key with a note that read for the master bedroom. Excited and eager to uncover the mystery that lay ahead, the group regrouped in the hallway outside the master bedroom. As they approached the door, they could feel the weight of anticipation building in their chests. With a deep breath, Lena inserted the key into the lock, and the door creaked open. Inside, they found a room that was shrouded in darkness, with only a faint light coming from the far corner. As they moved closer to the light, they could see that it was coming from a small lamp on a desk. And on the desk, they found a single sheet of paper with a message written in a bold, confident hand. "Congratulations," it read. "You have made it this far. But the real game has only just begun. If you want to solve the mystery, you must find the clues that are hidden throughout the mansion. But be warned, they will not be easy to find, and they will not be easy to decipher. The clock is ticking. You have only 12 hours to solve the mystery before it's too late." The friends looked at each other in shock and disbelief. Was this some kind of sick game? And if so, who was behind it? Determined to find out, they set off once again, scouring every inch of the mansion for the hidden clues. As they worked tirelessly, the hours ticking by, they knew that they were running out of time. But they refused to give up. They had come too far, worked too hard, and risked too much to let this mystery go unsolved. With every step they took, they grew closer to the truth and closer to the dangerous secrets that lay hidden in the heart of the mansion. With only minutes left on the clock, the friends stumbled upon a hidden room that had eluded them until now. Inside, they found a collection of old photographs and newspaper clippings, all pointing to a dark and terrible secret. As they examined the evidence, they pieced together the horrifying truth. The mansion had once been owned by a wealthy businessman who had used it as a front for his criminal activities. He had employed a team of ruthless enforcers who had carried out his bidding without question. But one day, the enforcers had turned on their boss, killing him and disappearing with his fortune. The mansion had been left abandoned, a reminder of the darkness that had once lurked within its walls. And now, it seemed that someone was trying to resurrect that darkness. The friends had stumbled into a twisted game, a test of their wits and their bravery. As they stood in the hidden room, the clock ticking down to its final seconds, they knew that they had to act fast. With one last burst of energy, they raced through the mansion, following the clues to their final destination. In the end, it was Tasha who found the answer. Hidden beneath the floorboards of the attic, she discovered a locked chest. Using the key that they had found earlier, she opened the chest and found a note written in the same bold handwriting as before. "Congratulations," it read. "You have solved the mystery. But be warned, there are others who would kill for the secrets that you have uncovered. You must leave the mansion now, before it's too late." With a sense of relief and triumph, the friends left the mansion, vowing never to return. As they walked away, they could feel the weight of the mystery lifting from their shoulders, replaced by a sense of clarity and purpose. For they had proven that they were more than just a group of friends who went on adventures together. They were a team, bound together by their courage and their determination to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. and they knew that they would face whatever mysteries lay ahead together.